عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. في هذا الصباح الجميل يسعدنا أن أستضيف ضيف مميز هذا اليوم من دولة أنغولا، أستاذي الكريم استضيفه في برنامجي مع بنت النور. أستاذي هو السيد إسرائيل كامبوس، هو صحفي أنغولي مستقل حائز على جوائز ويقيم في لشبونة البرتغال. حصل على درجة البكالوريوس في الصحافة من جامعة مدينة لندن، وهو حاليا يتابع دراسة الماجستير في الاتصال الاستراتيجي والقيادة في الجامعة الكاثوليكية البرتغالية. يركز بحثه على كيفية استخدام قطاعات من الحركات الإصلاحية والثورية في أنغولا، منصات التواصل الاجتماعي خصوصا الفيسبوك، لنشر الرسائل الرئيسية والتفاعل مع الجماهير المختلفة بسبب الوصول المحدود إلى وسائل الإعلام التقليدية نتيجة الضغوط السياسية. بدأت مسيرته المهنية مبكرا كمدير في برامج الأطفال في راديو أنغولا الوطني. منذ ذلك الحين نما ليصبح كاتبا صحفيا بارزا. في عام 2023 نشر روايته الأولى في كل من أنغولا والبرتقال، يساهم كصحفي مستقل في وسائل الإعلام الدولية بما في ذلك BBC، الجزيرة، وول ستريت جورنال، حيث يغطي مواضيع مثل السياسة، حقوق الإنسان، وتغيرات المناخ في أنغولا. منذ مايو عام 2023 كان إسرائيل كامبوس عضوا في مركز التفكير الرئاسي البرتغالي. الآن سعيد نستضيف هذا ضيفي المميز هذا اليوم. Welcome. Good morning, Mr. Israel. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. And I wish I could speak some Arabic so I can understand your introduction.
Yeah, of course you can.
The only thing I can say is Assalamu alaikum.
Wow, that's very good.
That's the only I can do.
Yeah, please, Mr. Israel, I want to tell you something about you. What you should know about you.
Well, what you should know about me, I think, as you said, I'm a journalist, but I think I like to see myself more as a storyteller.
Yeah.
So I really like to tell stories in journalism, but also in fiction, and that's why we're here in this workshop, because I really enjoy writing about people's lives. That's one of the things that probably describes me. Yeah.
Okay.
And the second one is that I try to be funny. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I just always try to find a way to be funny.
Okay, about your writers, you have a novel?
Yeah, I've published a novel last year in Angola and in Portugal. It's a novel that talks about identity and youth political activism, because I'm very interested in activism as well in Angola. So my novel tries to reflect how young people in Angola are becoming more engaged in political and social and economical debates, because that's something that is not very common there. People usually say, well, you're young people, you don't need to talk about politics, you need to do other things.
Yes, you don't understand.
You don't understand politics. Politics is too complex. But reality is that younger generations are becoming much more interested and engaged in politics. They're doing more research, they're caring more about it, they're protesting more. And I wanted to capture that in my novel, in my first novel. That's what I did.
Now, please, Mr. Israel, I need to ask you why you choose. You are a journalist, first things, and now you are start to be a writer. What the connection between us? What do you find to let me go this way?
Well, I wanted to write fiction because I feel like in journalism there's so much you can do when it comes to being creative. Because journalism is very much about facts, things that happen, telling people stories. But being factual, being accurate, trying to write a journalistic piece that reflects the truth. That's why you're always trying to find in journalism the truth and tell your audience the truth. Whereas in fiction, I found in creative writing, you have much more freedom to create things. So even though I still write about factual events that happen, I can still create things that didn't happen. I can still create one character.
Yes. It's your own space.
It's your own
whole
space.
World you are created.
And if I like two people very much, if I like you and I like someone else, I can just now create one person based on you and the other person. You know, I can decide their name, the world they live in. I can decide if this story is in Ghana or in Marrakesh or whatever. There's this freedom, and sometimes you haven't even gone to that country. For example, I can write a story about this kid living in Russia, even though I've never been to Russia. So I feel like fiction and creative writing is very beautiful because it gives you a certain freedom that in journalism I don't have. So that's why I've decided to attempt to write fiction.
Yes. That leads me to another questions about the social media. How has internet is engaged in our life as a writers, and how it's be very helpful
Mm.
to write about it.
I think it's very interesting to see how different people see social media. So some people will say, well, it's not very good for creative writing or for writing at all because it's too busy, too much information, you have access to too many things, and you can't focus on what you have to do. And you get to you start to compare yourselves to other people that you see on social media, because social media is all about you showing up your achievements and stuff. So that's what some people will say. But for me, I really find it helpful uh, to be able to be a writer or a journalist in the age of social media, because it really does connect the world. It really does make connections easier. You know, you're sitting in your house and you have access to a lot of things that are going on in the world, and for me that's very beautiful, and that can be very uh, positive in a way if we know how to use that information we have access to. And then I'm very much into creating and into being part of global networks. I really like experiences where I'm able to talk to a writer in Arabic, for example,
Yes,
and
that's
even
right.
though we have the language barrier, we try and we fight hard to have this human connection we've been able to do. And I think you are a very good example of this, because you came here and you've been determined and you decided that you want to speak to people because you care about
Yeah, I'm
the
trying
connection,
really, yes.
and you're trying your best to do it.
Yes.
And I think that's very beautiful, that's very important. And maybe these conversations that we are having here will impact other people that are not here, but they will be able to see us
Yeah,
speak
let
and
us to
stuff.
try, yes.
Yeah, so I think that's the beauty of it. And also, being this age of social media also makes, as I was saying, connection easier. For example, we came to this workshop because we saw it being advertised on social media,
Yes,
and we
simple as
applied
that,
to it
yes.
because we saw it on social media. So I feel like we are a good example of how social media can be very positive for us and for creators. But then obviously on the other side, there are also like negative parts of it that we should be very careful. I do feel like social media leads us to a place of a lot of comparison. So you see people doing things, getting awards and stuff, and start to become jealous and
Yes,
comparing
it's a
yourself.
problem,
So
yes.
instead of trying your best and concentrating on your work, you're now just comparing and trying to do what other people are doing,
Yes.
and that's very problematic as well, because you want to be truthful to yourself. You want to be original and produce work that is meaningful to yourself.
Yes,
You don't
really.
you don't just want to produce something because other people are doing it as well.
Yes,
I feel
yes.
like it's very important to stay
You don't
truthful.
want you have to copy others.
Yeah, you
That's
don't want to
true.
copy others. You want to say something. Even in writing, we write different things,
Yes.
because we are coming from different places, and we find meaning in different aspects of life.
Yes.
And I think that's what is beautiful. I don't think everyone should be like one another. I feel like we should all be different, and
Yeah.
that's the
You are
beauty of it.
colorful. That's what
Yeah,
I mean.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Please let me go little back about your childhood,
Mm.
that time, how is be, and now you are finish university and start your master degree.
Yeah, I finished my master degree as well.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah, please tell me about that.
My childhood. So I grew up in Luanda, which is the capital of Angola, where I'm from. I grew up like in a house full of other kids because I have like four siblings.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember like just being very playful and stuff. My dad is a journalist as well. So in my house, we used to have like this huge library full
Yeah,
of
you
books.
start reading
Yeah,
that
so I
time.
started reading very early.
Yeah.
So I feel like that has shaped who I am and how
Mm.
I see the world. Because where I come from, having access to books is such a privilege,
Yes.
because not
Not for
everyone
everyone.
has.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
even
yes.
my mates, my classmates in school,
Mm.
most of them didn't have access to books,
Yes,
because
really?
books are expensive. It's
Yeah.
difficult to have. So for me, it was a privilege to be
Yeah.
able to
You are
access that.
lucky.
Yeah. So as I was growing up, books became something ordinary for me. It's not like something, oh, for me it's like a toy. I see books as toys because I'm used to them. I'm used to touching them. I'm used to opening them. I'm used to reading them. So it became something very ordinary, and I felt like that experience has had a lot of impact in my whole life. Yeah, and then I was very talkative. I was a child that talked a lot, so I feel like that's also why maybe I went to uh, journalism. That's why I went to study journalism,
Yes.
and then eventually did a master's in communications as well.
And about master degree?
Yeah. So my master's degree. So I just finished last month in July. I defended my thesis, so I'm
Yeah,
done with that.
congratulations, really.
Um, I decided to do this master's because I wanted to investigate the correlation between social movements and social media in Angola. So I did that was my dissertation on. It was a good experience. It was a good experience. I get to meet a lot of new people throughout my program, and just be able to learn a lot and investigate a lot as well. So yeah, that was a good experience, and I hope to be able to use everything I've learned in my masters for my in my career and eventually a new career. I don't know. Yeah.
الآن أود سؤال أستاذي الكريم عن جائزة أخذها في الأدب. You win a prize, a prize in literatures,
No, it was a prize in press freedom, so it was a prize for journalism.
journalism.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So I won this prize. It's the Press Freedom Award in
Mm-hmm.
Angola, awarded this year, early this year, because of a documentary I made on the impacts of the drought on women in Angola. It was a very, I feel like it was very special for me to win this award because it's a very prestigious award in Angola, and it really encouraged me to keep on doing groundbreaking journalism because it's not easy to produce new journalism that tries to uncover the truth and hold the government to account. That's very difficult, especially when you're like in countries where it's still difficult to question the government or
Yes, yes.
to hold them accountable for what's happening in society. And I was lucky enough to have been given support by Voice of America to do this document, to make this documentary in Angola. We made it during 2 years. It was a very long one. Uh, the time it isn't that long actually. The last output, but we worked on it during 2 years almost, and then it came out. Um, it came out earlier this year. So I'm very grateful for this award, and I hope this award can motivate other young journalists in Angola and across the world really to keep on pushing and try to do a journalism that is impactful in their societies.
Please, Mr. Israel, I want to ask you about your future planning.
Mhm.
You think to be like a journalist
Yeah.
or a writer or both of them?
Well, for the future, like journalism, I think journalism will still be my main area of work. I hope to have the time to combine them both
Yeah.
because I feel like fiction really takes a lot a lot of your time. It really requires uh, a lot of time. So you need to have the time to write, to
Yeah.
see, to think. It's not easy. At least for me, I feel like writers have different ways of creating. Like there's
Yeah.
people that can come up with a whole story
Yes.
in 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and there's people that need more time to do it. I'm those who really need more time to think about it and to do it because I'm very protective of my work. So for me, it's very hard to let my writing go for me to show it to someone. It takes a long time. So I need to build up the story and build up confidence and etc. before I can eventually show it to someone. So writing for me really requires a lot of time, which journalism makes it hard also to have because I'm always working, especially when I'm working on the field. But yeah, I hope to keep on being a journalist, keep on writing fiction. I'm not very ambitious when it comes to publishing, so I don't want to publish like many books. I don't know, maybe in 10 years I'll be watching to this interview and I'll be laughing
Yeah,
because I had published a lot. But no, I don't feel any pressure to write fiction.
Okay.
You know, I don't feel like I have to. I don't feel like, whoa, I need to write this by December. No, I don't feel this pressure. I write whenever I can write, and the story is ready whenever it's ready. Sometimes it's in a month, sometimes it's in 4 months, sometimes it's in a year.
That means that his homework will be a problem with you.
Yeah. So I let the story be it, and then the story eventually tells me when it's done, when it's ready to go. So yeah, I mean that's my future plan. Being somewhere, keep writing, even if it's not published, but I just keep writing.
Yes.
Whatever I care about. Yeah, that's my plan.
Please, Miss Sam, going to be last questions. I
Yes.
know. I'm sorry for taking
No,
your
it's
time.
okay. It's okay.
Just please give us advice for the younger writers who want to go through this way. What do you think the best advice you can give to him?
Oh my God. I think that one of the things we were able to see from this workshop, guys, we are in Ghana attending this amazing workshop, and one of the things I can see is that people just come from very different backgrounds and very different places, and they write for different reasons.
Yes.
Yes. People write for, when you start to hear the stories why you write, when you ask this question, people will come up with so many different reasons for that. So yeah, so that means that people have different motivations.
Yes.
And they want to achieve different things with their writing. So I would say the only advice I could really give to young writers is, even though there's a lot of temptation to be published, most people want to be published, they want to be read, and that's okay. I think that's a legit. You write and you want to share it, but don't wait until you have the opportunity to publish to do your best work. Do your best work. Keep writing, because I feel like writing is pretty much about practice and writing and rewriting and doing your best. I feel like when you write your first draft and you go back to it a week later, you see the mistakes you have made and the things you could have improved. So for me, that's a great exercise. Keep on writing and revising and rewriting and rewriting and rewriting until you think, well, this is a good draft. Don't ever just be like, oh, this is the first draft and that's what I'm going to submit to whatever, to an award or to whatever. No, try to be
patient.
Yeah, I think it requires a lot of patience. You need to be patient and just take the time it takes.
Yes.
Don't rush, because I feel like with writing, it's not like there is a deadline. It's not like there's someone pushing you. Sometimes there is when you have a book deal. But no, I'm just talking like in ordinary situations. Like you don't have a book deal, you're just a young writer. Take your time. Really take your time. And another advice, and I feel like this should be like common sense, but I find that sometimes it isn't. Please read other people's stories. Read so that you can tell what it's good and what's not good. Read widely. Read fiction, read non-fiction, read newspapers, read magazines, read everything.
Open your mind.
Yeah, if you want to be a writer, I think you really need to read and to try and understand what other people are doing, especially those who have come before us. Read. I feel like reading is very important. And we don't talk about, I think we don't talk enough about reading. We talk a lot about writing.
Yeah.
But we almost never mention reading. And I feel like reading is the basis of it all, because I understood that I could write because I have read people.
You read before.
Yeah. And I was like, I think I can do this. If they can do it, I think I can do this. But I feel like reading is such an important part. So,
and even in our Islamic, the first word is come to Prophet Muhammad is in Arabic, Iqra. That means read.
Yeah.
So with the same idea, now we are talking.
Yes.
You should read.
Yes,
read. Important thing.
So now before we go, teach me something to say see you or whatever in Arabic so that I can tell them.
Okay, that means I will let the final word for you.
Yeah.
أصدقائي المشاهدين أرى السيد إسرائيل كامبوس متحمس جدا للغة العربية ويريد أن تكون كلمة الختام عنده، لذلك سأقول كلمتين يقولها لكم. You can say like مع السلامة.
مع السلامة.
كونوا بخير.
مع السلامة.
كونوا بخير.
كونوا بخير. مع السلامة. كونوا بخير. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
أمة أصدقائي الحضور، إلى اللقاء، دمتم في أمان الله.